Hey playa, have you ever done something really embarrassing in front of your crush? I certainly have. And that's a story I want to talk to you guys about today. Because even though I did something embarrassing, it didn't actually hurt my chances of getting with my crush. But I'll explain more right after this.
This is the Just Beef, you're watching the Just Beef.
For you to understand the severity of what I felt in that exact moment when it happened, you need to understand the backstory first. Growing up, my parents had instilled in me that you could only take a day off from school if you were severely ill. But if you were just a little bit sick, you still had to go. And as a kid, I remember my older brother taking one day off from elementary school. I remember him staying home that day as I headed to school, and I thought, man, this is horrible. How is he gonna know what he's missing from class if he doesn't go that day? I know, a little dramatic, but that's what I thought it would actually lead to, so I made it my duty to never miss a day of school. Going into middle school, I remember one specific day that my mom had packed my lunch for me. I had 2 peanut butter and jelly sandwiches, a juice, and a little box of pretzels. At the time when we were bored, we would either trade each other pieces of our lunches or we would dare each other to do things. So, one of my friends decided to dare me to eat the entire box of pretzels and then to down all the salt that collected at the bottom of it. I remember shaking the fallen salt from the pretzels in that box and thinking, this isn't going to be too hard, so I just downed a whole wad of salt. Not to sound like an idiot here, but it tasted super salty. And right after I ate it, I felt a little weird, but okay. A few minutes passed, and then all of a sudden, I started to feel this sick twist in my stomach. And I just sat there holding my face thinking, uh-oh, this isn't good. Instinctively, I knew to walk over to the trash can and I just hurled out my entire lunch, all because of that wad of salt that I ate. And while I was doing this, a teacher just happened to be walking by and saw me vomiting in the garbage. So they came over and said, hey, do you need to go to the nurse? Do you need to go home? And of course, to me, going home meant missing my class, failing out of high school, never going to college, and ending up on the streets. So I just turned to the teacher mid-vomit and said, no, I'm okay. Once I finished vomiting, I drank some water at the water fountain and rejoined my friends, thinking, okay, this was a one-time incident, it's not gonna happen again. But now we head on over to high school, where things drastically changed and they were kind of out of my control. Now, I've made a video in the past about my biggest high school crush and how I got totally friend-zoned by her. I'm gonna link up the card here, but I'll also put it on the end screen so you can watch it after this video. This story takes place in between first meeting her and then getting completely friend-zoned. So somewhere in the middle when we were just regular friends hanging out and talking to each other every day. For some reason, growing up, I never got sick. Maybe it was my crazy mindset that prevented me from actually realizing when I was actually sick, but either way, I was never sick in elementary, never sick in middle school, and I was darn sure I wasn't going to be sick in high school either. Me and my crush shared a few classes together at the time, which I thought was awesome until this moment actually happened. So early one morning in my junior year of high school, I headed on off to school, and then somewhere in the beginning of the day, I started to feel a little sick. I didn't know why or where it came from, but I remember in between classes, I headed over to the bathroom and I just vomited in the toilet. I stood there with my hand on the wall thinking, oh God, this is horrible. I can't be sick. I'm just not allowed to be sick right now. So I cleaned myself up and headed on over to my next class, hoping that was the end of it and I wouldn't experience it for the rest of the day. As I explained in a previous video where I talk about my first day of high school and how my high school didn't really have a lunch period, I ended up eating my lunch much later in the day. So throughout the day, I had my plastic shopping bag with my food items in it. So after I vomited in the bathroom, I headed over to my next class and then took my seat next to my crush because we were also friends, so we sat with each other. Now in this class, we were doing a review for the test that was coming later in the week. And I remember sitting there thinking, this is important, I have to pay attention. But then I started to feel sick in my stomach again. I remember trying to take notes, but I was just sitting there sweating bullets. My crush even looked over and started rubbing me on the back, asking me if I was okay. And this was not the look I wanted to have in front of her. I felt like it made me look weak, like I couldn't even control my own sickness. I knew I had to prepare in case I just vomited all over again. So I reached back into my bag, dumped all my food items into it, and then just held the plastic bag with me in my chair while I was sitting there sweating and taking notes. My teacher at the time had a very distinct accent. He looked over and said, hey, sir, are you okay? Sir, are you okay? And I remember sitting there with my head on the table going, yeah, I'm good. At that point, I was trying my best to just make it through the class so I can go to the bathroom and vomit again if I had to, but It didn't wait for me to finish class that time. I opened up the bag and just right into it. And right after that happened, I tied it up and just held it with me, thinking, okay, I'll throw it out after class so I don't make a big scene. And of course, the sound of someone vomiting turned everyone's head towards me, even the teacher, who said, okay, sir, you need to go to the bathroom. You have to take care of it now. So I picked up my head, looked at my crush, and thought, man, she's gonna think so low of me because I'm in this weird situation right now. And all she really did was look at me, smile, and say, hey, look, people get sick sometimes. You should go to the bathroom to go take care of it. I headed over to the bathroom with 3 major thoughts on my mind. The first one was I gonna get sick again? Was I sick in general, or was this because I ate something weird? The next thing was, well, is my crush gonna totally think of me as a loser? Is that it? Have I totally just put myself in the friend zone forever? And the third one was, what am I gonna do about the stuff I'm missing right now in class? Am I gonna fail this test? Am I gonna drop out of school and that's the end of my life? I was a little bit more dramatic than I needed to be. I ended up having a stomach virus, which cleared up after only a few days. When I got back to class, everyone was staring at me. The students, my teacher, and even my crush. And I thought, oh my God, this is the most embarrassing thing ever. But really, at the end of the day, it wasn't. No one really cared. My teacher asked me, sir, are you feeling better now? You feeling better? I told him I was okay, sat back down, continued taking notes. I ended up doing pretty good on that test when it came about, and me and my crush were still okay. When I talked to her about it later on, I told her that it made me feel weak in front of her, like a bit of a loser, and she assured me that it didn't, that she still viewed me as a friend. She gave me a hug and even a kiss on the cheek, which made me think I had a chance. But of course, you have to watch that video to find out that I didn't. So here's the thing I learned from that experience. We all will have these weak and vulnerable moments at times. And it's okay to show people, hey, I'm human. I get sick. I didn't do well. I messed something up. That's normal. What matters most is your ability to stand back up and keep moving forward. That's how winning is done. Yes, I stole that from Rocky, but I still want to know, what do you guys think? Have you ever been in a situation where you felt weak or embarrassed in front of either your crush or kids in school? Leave your comments below and we'll talk about it. Now, I know you may be wondering, but Josh, so you had the stomach virus. Does that mean you took off from school? And the answer is no. At the end of the school year, I ended up getting the Perfect Attendance Award. Me and 3 other Asian kids. So let that be a sign to you that even if you're in a situation where you feel embarrassed or weak or whatever it may be, you can recover. You can push forward and it doesn't have to define you. Check out my friend zone video where I talk about my whole experience with my crush friend zoning me, and then I'll see you guys soon. As always, love and peace.